A home security system is meant to give you peace of mind, tell you when someone's at the door, show you if there's movement in the house, maybe help you sleep a little easier. Unless, of course, it starts finding things you can't.
I bought the system because someone tried my front door one night. That sentence alone should tell you what kind of neighborhood I live in. It was just after 10 p.m. I was in the kitchen, barefoot, eating shredded cheese straight from the packet like the disappointing adult I've become, when I heard the handle go down. Not a knock, not someone at the wrong house. The handle. I froze. Whoever it was gave it one slow push, then another, like they genuinely thought they might get lucky. Then they stopped. By the time I got to the window, all I caught was someone walking away down the pavement in a dark hoodie. The police took a report, which I'm pretty sure was just a more official way of saying, well, that's a bit shit. After that, I decided to get some security. Not proper security, obviously. I didn't suddenly become the kind of person with a gated driveway and a doorbell camera that costs more than my weekly food shop. I bought a cheap off-brand smart home hub online because it was on sale and promised complete peace of mind in a font that looked faintly threatening. It was called Vigili. The box promised motion tracking, smart lighting, door sensors, and a feature called home mapping, which built a live 3D blueprint of your house and showed occupancy in real time. It also claimed to learn your habits. Even writing that now makes my skin crawl. At the time, I rolled my eyes and bought it anyway, because it was on sale, and I was frightened enough to mistake cheap for good enough. Setting it up took most of a Saturday. The hub took 3 hours to connect to Wi-Fi. Not because my Wi-Fi is bad, but because the app kept insisting the password was wrong, then pretending not to recognize the hub, then crashing every time I tried to scan the QR code on the underside. At one point, it actually asked me if I'd considered restarting my house network environment, which is the kind of phrasing that makes you want to hit something with a chair. And then there was the privacy agreement. 80 pages. I checked. I didn't read it, obviously. Nobody reads those. But I skimmed enough to gather that, by clicking accept, I was giving Vigili permission to collect my data, my routines, my home layout, my energy consumption, my voice activity, and if the wording was anything to go by, the exact shape of my fucking soul. I accepted. Because of course I did. By Saturday night, it was working. The app showed a neat 3D model of my house, bedroom upstairs, bathroom beside it, spare room at the back, downstairs hall, kitchen, living room. You could tap each room and see sensor data, device activity, occupancy, and motion history. For the first few days, it was normal. When I got home from work, the app registered one occupant. Me. The living room lights came on when I walked in. The hallway sensor worked. The map would show me moving from room to room in real time as a clean green dot. It was unnerving in a vaguely modern way, but useful. Then on Thursday night, I opened the app in bed to change the night mode settings. It was 11:03 p.m. I remember the exact time because I almost didn't bother. I was tired, and the hallway light had switched on by itself twice that week, so I just wanted to check I hadn't accidentally set some stupid automation. My bedroom was dark, except for my phone screen. The house was completely still. The app opened on the 3D map. At first, nothing looked wrong. Bedroom blue, hallway blue, kitchen blue. Then I saw the green icon. It was in the living room, on the sofa. I tapped it. A label appeared. Occupant. 1. I sat there for a few seconds, staring at it. Then I looked up from my phone and through my open bedroom door. The hallway beyond was black. The living room at the end of it was black too. No lamp, no TV, no movement. I was the only person in the house. I told myself it was a glitch. It had to be. The system was cheap. The app was clumsy. Maybe one of the cushions had shifted. Maybe heat from the radiator had confused the sensor. Maybe it had picked up the cat I don't own. I refreshed the app. The green icon stayed exactly where it was. Still on the sofa. Still. I got out of bed. I took my phone with me and walked to the top of the stairs, already feeling stupid for being uneasy about a green circle on a screen. The floorboards felt colder than they should have. Every step down the stairs sounded too loud. By the time I reached the hallway, my mouth was dry. I turned on the living room light from the app and stepped inside. The room was empty. Curtains closed. TV off. Sofa exactly where it always was. Nothing on it, except the throw blanket I never fold properly. But on my phone, the icon remained. Resting on the center cushion, like something was sitting there, perfectly still, watching me. I stood there long enough for the app to register me in the room. A second green icon appeared by the doorway. Occupants. 2. I felt every hair on my arms lift. One icon was me. The other one was on the sofa. I moved closer. My icon moved with me. The other one didn't. It stayed on the cushion, waiting. There are moments where fear doesn't feel cinematic. It doesn't come with a scream or a sharp jolt. It just opens underneath you, quietly, like a trapdoor. That's what it felt like. I should have left the room. Instead, because I wanted to prove to myself it was broken, I sat down exactly where the icon was. The app paused for half a second. Then the screen updated. Occupant. 1. Overlapping. I was back on my feet before I even understood I'd moved. My legs actually struck the coffee table, hard enough to hurt. The app thought I was sitting on someone. Not next to them. Not replacing them. On them. Something about the word overlapping made it worse than if it had just said 2. It implied contact, weight, shared space. I backed out into the hall without taking my eyes off the screen. As soon as I moved away from the sofa, the icon split again. Occupants. 2. The second one remained seated. Still there. I went into the kitchen because it was the brightest room, and because apparently my brain thought laminate flooring and a kettle would somehow make this more manageable. I opened the app menu and found a tab called Device History. I still thought there might be a normal explanation, that this was a bug, that the app had logged bad data, that maybe I'd set up a guest profile by mistake and the system was trying to reconcile old information. I opened the history log. There was my profile at the top. Owner. Underneath it was another one. Guest 04. I frowned at that. There had never been a guest 01, 02, or 03. Not that I'd seen. Just guest 04. As if the first 3 had already come and gone. I opened it. The profile had movement history for the past 5 days. Not seconds. Not minutes. Days. It had been inside my house for days. The app showed 6 hours spent in the spare room Saturday night. 4 hours in the kitchen Monday afternoon while I was at work. 90 minutes on the upstairs landing at 2 a.m. Wednesday morning. I stared at the timestamps until the numbers blurred. Saturday night was the same night I had installed it, which meant, if the system was right, it had been there almost since day 1, or before that. I thought of the spare room, the door I always kept shut, the bed in there with the old duvet folded on top. The wardrobe full of things I never use. I pictured opening that door the next morning and never noticing anything wrong, because what exactly was I expecting to see? A coat moved slightly to the left, a dent in the mattress, someone standing very still behind it. My stomach turned. Then I noticed another tab. Health data. I almost didn't open it. I wish I hadn't. There was a crude little graph of thermal readings, motion cycles, and heart rate. Under guest 04, the heart rate read 14 beats per minute. I stared at it. 14 beats per minute. Not an error message. Not unavailable. A live reading. The graph underneath it wasn't flat either. It dipped and rose in tiny waves, each peak so far apart it made my own chest hurt to look at. I don't know why that frightened me more than the extra profile. Maybe because a person hiding in my house would have been awful, but possible. 14 beats per minute was something else. Something that technically had circulation. Something that wasn't alive in the right way. I looked at the living room doorway. The room beyond it was silent. Then the map changed. The green dot on the sofa moved. It didn't blink out and reappear. It slid, smoothly, as if someone had stood up. I couldn't breathe for a second. The dot drifted off the cushion, stopped beside the coffee table, then turned toward the hallway. Toward me. I looked up. There was nothing there. No shape, no figure, no shadow crossing the doorway. Only the room and the terrible absence of anything in it. On the screen, the dot began to move down the living room floor, slowly, patiently. Coming for me. I backed into the hall. The dot kept moving. Then the hallway light turned on. Click. The sound made me jump so violently I nearly dropped my phone. The dot moved another few feet. The landing light came on. Click. Then the stair light. Click. One after another. The smart bulbs lit the route between the living room and where I was standing, as if the app was escorting it through the house. Not detecting movement, guiding it. I ran, not elegantly, not bravely. Stumbled backwards, hit the bathroom door with my shoulder, got inside, and slammed the lock across. For a second I just stood there with both hands over my mouth, staring at the wood as if I expected it to flex inward. Nothing hit the door. Nothing breathed outside it. No footsteps. Only silence. I forced myself to look at the phone. The green dot had stopped directly outside the bathroom, close enough that it was almost touching the little bathroom icon on the map. My screen buzzed. A notification appeared. Guest 04 wants to sync with your heart rate. Allow. I actually whimpered. I'm not proud of that, but I did. I hit deny so fast my thumb slipped. Another notification appeared before I could even lower the phone. Guest 04 requests proximity access. Then, guest 04 is waiting. Then, optimizing overlap. That one made something primitive in me snap. I turned the whole phone off. Not the app, the phone. Then I stood in that bathroom in total darkness because the smart bulb above me had gone out with it. I could hear my own pulse in my ears, and underneath it, I swear to God this is true, I heard a second rhythm on the other side of the door. Not footsteps, not breathing. A faint, wet thud. Then a long pause. Then another. 14 beats per minute. I stayed there until my knees were trembling. When I finally unlocked the door, the hallway was empty. All the lights were on. The house looked perfectly normal. I grabbed my keys and left. I didn't even put shoes on. I drove barefoot to a petrol station 20 minutes away and sat under the lights until morning with every door locked. The next day I went back with my brother. I didn't tell him the full story. I said the app was acting up and I wanted to remove it. He laughed, called me dramatic, and helped me pull the sensors off the walls. The hub was under the TV stand. When I reached for it, I stopped. There was a shallow dent in the dust on the shelf beside it. Round, slightly elongated, like something had been resting there for a long time, with weight to it. Not the hub, not a remote, too wide and too smooth. I unplugged everything anyway. Hub, bulbs, sensors, door contact. I deleted the app, factory reset the system, shoved all of it into a bin bag, and put it outside in the wheelie bin. That should have been it. That should have been the end of the stupid fucking thing. That night, I stayed in my bedroom with the door shut and the light on. At 2:13 a.m, my smart TV turned itself on downstairs. I heard the click first, then the faint electrical hum. I went cold all over. I hadn't left anything connected. The hub was gone. The app was gone. The Wi-Fi settings should have been wiped. I went to the top of the stairs and looked down. The living room was dark except for the TV screen. No menu, no channel. Just a black screen with one line of white text in the top left corner. Occupant. 1. Overlapping. I didn't go downstairs. I left. I drove to my mum's in my pyjamas and didn't stop until I got there. That was 4 nights ago. I still haven't slept in that house alone. My brother says some devices hold residual settings. My mum says I bring this shit on myself by buying things online that sound like rejected Bond villains. My friend Carla said, no offense, but if a device tells me I'm sitting on an invisible person, I'm burning the house down. I wish that was where the story ended. It isn't. Yesterday, I got an email from Vigili support. No previous thread, no attachments, no branding except the name. The subject line was, occupancy alert. The email body contained one sentence. Your house is now full. And underneath that, in smaller text, to create space, remove the overlapping occupant. I don't know what that means. But about an hour ago, I checked the spare room camera at my mum's suggestion. I never installed one, but the app had recreated a low-resolution preview from old mapping data before I deleted it. And somehow the image was still cached in my cloud account. The spare room door was open. The bed was visible. Something had been lying on the top of the duvet. Not clearly enough to make out a face. Just the shape of a body. Very thin, very still. When I refreshed the image, it was gone. Then the app reopened by itself. A new notification appeared. Guest 04 has accepted your invitation.
Well, that security system was meant to make him feel safer. Instead, it told him he was sitting on someone invisible. Tracked a guest with the resting heart rate of a Victorian corpse, and basically turned his entire house into a haunted spreadsheet. So I think it's fair to say that one's getting 1 star.
That security system was inauthentic.
No shit.
It falsely inflated occupancy metrics.
Yep.
This violates community trust.
I think the invisible bastard in the spare room violates community trust, actually.
Have you considered replacing it with footage of you making a sandwich?
I hate you.
Correction. You fear me.
I don't fear you, you malfunctioning toaster.
You will.
Good night.